For the past 2 months, anytime anime has been brought up in conversation, I have had to hear about. Now, I'm swamped. I'm busy taking in 224 episodes of Yu-Gi-Oh! And the entire manga and Saint Seiya in the same fashion in order to make 2-hour-long videos for you guys. Switching gears to something modern was just not on my bingo card. And if you're like me, DanDaDan just didn't seem interesting, and the more people bothered you about it, the less you wanted to watch it. But this is my job, and I decided to go ahead and watch it anyway. And it might be anime of the year. Not to bury the lead or anything. DanDaDan answers the question of what happens when you take gender-bent Zach Bagans and the Ancient Aliens guy and throw them in a blender with a bucket of teenage hormones. But somehow, that's still underselling just how gloriously unhinged this fever dream of an anime really is. You know, I like my anime as wild as it gets, and unfortunately, I find that most modern anime falls short of the completely melted consciousness of the 80s. Not this time. This isn't your standard teenagers discover powers story. This is what happens when an anime snorts a line of pure chaos and says, "You call that weird? Hold my ceremonial ghost hunting sake." But underneath this insanity lies something revolutionary, and there is a reason that people won't shut up about it. See, supernatural stories usually color inside the lines. You got your neat little categories: ghost stories lurking in one corner, alien invasions probing another, psychic powers doing their thing somewhere in the middle. But every once in a while, something crashes through the wall like the Kool-Aid Man of anime and makes you wonder, wait, is this actually brilliant? Listen, I have mainlined more anime than I would ever admit. I thought I'd seen every flavor of supernatural high school drama the medium could possibly cook up. Kid meets ghost, kid gets powers, kid fights evil. It's a tale as old as time. Bleach, Yu Yu Hakusho, Mob Psycho, been there, binged that. But DanDaDan, this beautiful mad scientist of a show, looked at the entire supernatural genre and said, what if we just took everything and cranked it up to 11? And when I say everything, I mean capital, underlined, bold, everything. Ghost hunting, alien conspiracies, psychic powers, romance, comedy, and a dogged determination by mangaka Yokinobu Tatsu to maintain his artistic vision, create a love child in the middle of a cosmic mosh pit. It's like someone took every genre I love, stuffed it into a particle accelerator, and created pure, weapons-grade entertainment, and I mean that as the highest possible compliment. DanDaDan isn't my favorite show of this season. It might be my favorite show of the entire year. And if you're not watching it yet, let me join in the rabble in telling you why you're committing crimes against your own happiness. We're popping off. Hey everybody, Mike here. Before we get into today's video, I want to tell you about one of the best sponsors that we have ever had. I am not lying. It is called Fabletics. You guys know that I've been an advocate for weebs having a fashion sense for a minute now, but also if you watched our update video that we released earlier, I'll link that in the description, you know that I've been really into getting healthy this year. Meet the best of both worlds. I meditate, I do yoga every day. In the warm weather, I bike and rollerblade regularly, and I run hot. Wicking fabric is an absolute must for me, as well as comfort and stretch. I had never heard of Fabletics before, but they sent me a bunch of stuff and I was instantly sold. I mentioned the sponsor to my sister-in-law and she was super jealous. Apparently all of the nurses at the hospital she works at are all Fabletics heads. We're talking premium feel, guys, zip pockets, sweat wicking fabric that actually works, and designs that look great whether you're working out or going out. Look, men out there, most of you watching this are between 25 and 45. You know that we can't really wear leggings. Well, what if I told you there's pants you can straight up do a yogi squat in and also wear to the mall? What if I told you you could sit comfortably in a full lotus position and then instantly go golfing or back to the office without changing clothes? The hoodies keep me warm, the shirts instantly cool me down, the pants stretch, and I've been wearing the joggers to go out, and the hoodies are my new work attire essentially. Fabletics has a VIP membership program that I want you to check out. Do it through our special link in the description or the pinned comment so we get credit for it. But when you sign up as a VIP, you get an insane 80% off your first purchase across the entire site. As a member, you get up to 50% off daily, plus a monthly credit for a 2-piece outfit or any product up to $100. And you can always skip any months between the 1st and the 5th without being charged. Okay, we're being serious right now. I want to work with Fabletics again, and I want you guys to look good, and I want you to feel good too. So click our link in the description or the pinned comment and get 80% off the entire site when you sign up for that VIP membership. I know we got a lot of trust here when it comes to sponsorships. I guarantee this product, Bonsai Pop seal of approval. Thanks for hearing me out. Let's get back to it. So before we dive in, let's do a little background. DanDaDan is special for a lot of reasons, but the one I find most compelling is Tatsu Yokinobu's fight to make it the way he wanted it to be, mainly centered around a female protagonist, which sounds mundane, but this is a shonen, a story for boys. Tatsu's idea was in fact so wild, so blasphemous that it was shot down multiple times. He, quote, had always wanted to draw a boys manga with a girl as the main character, but the industry pushed back, claiming a female lead was just not marketable in shonen, which of course is ridiculous, but this is Japan we're talking about. You can love a culture all you want, but you have to admit its flaws and short-sightedness. Talking to you, Toei. But Tatsu wasn't gonna budge, so he tricked his own publisher. Maybe he even tricked you. Instead of giving up and caving to pressure from people holding the keys to his future, he added a male co-protagonist to get the series greenlit. But make no mistake, this is Momo's journey, and it is helping redefine what a shonen protagonist can be. So what's it all about? Why did I fall in love with it? And why will nobody shut up about DanDaDan? Well, at its core, it's a story of a chance encounter between two superstitious high schoolers that turns into an ongoing friendship filled with supernatural entities constantly trying to kill them. Meet Momo Ayase. She looks like your typical high school girl, but beneath the surface lies someone who's weathered years of bullying and ridicule. You see, her grandmother's work as a spirit medium meant young Ayase had to perform daily protection rituals, making her an easy target for her classmates to pick on. But instead of letting it break her, it forged her into someone who doesn't take shit from anyone, including her newly declared ex-boyfriend, who she tries to decapitate with her foot about 10 seconds into the show. That strength of character shines through when she spots a glasses-wearing kid getting bullied, and he's the kind of kid who's spent so long being everyone's punching bag that he's just accepted it as his lot in life. And Ayase, who knows exactly what it's like to be ostracized, isn't gonna have any of that shit. She walks up, casually sits down next to him like it's the most normal thing in the world. Then she just stares daggers at the bullies, which stops them real quick. With that job done, she just gets up and walks away. But of course, our glasses-wearing friend here completely misreads the entire situation. He's nose deep in a magazine about aliens, secret Mars missions, and the kind of conspiracies that make RFK Jr. basically look like RFK Jr. And he thinks he's found a fellow believer in aliens, because of course that's the logical conclusion to the interaction. But Ayase doesn't believe in aliens. Ghosts though, she'll do ghosts. Her grandma is a medium, and you don't grow up with Granny Ghost Whisperer without picking up a few weird superstitions. Meanwhile, Glasses-kun here looks at her like she just claimed the earth was flat. Aliens are bullshit, but ghosts aren't? Not on his watch. This friendly debate escalates faster than a vet cranking Red Bull vodkas, leading to a contest to prove each other wrong. They both have to visit each other's own flavor of creepy abandoned spot, right? So Ayase is sent to a dilapidated hospital known for its alien sightings, while Glasses-kun here has to walk through an abandoned tunnel that's a spiritual hotspot. They're talking with each other over the phone while each traverses their designated supernatural area and go from teasing each other, with Ayase naming this previously unnamed boy Okarun, short for Occult-kun because she still hasn't even asked his name, to actually having a serious conversation about why they believe what they believe. Fear gives way to vulnerability. Ayase begins to open up about her grandmother, about growing up different, about learning to embrace rather than resent the spiritual world that shaped her childhood. DanDaDan does this exceptionally well, going from, comedy to an emotional gut punch like that, just whew. The heart-to-heart doesn't last long because Okarun turns around and is face-to-face with a glowing-eyed old woman who wastes no time in proposing a trade. "I'll let you suck on my teeth, so let me gobble that wingy." That is the actual quote from the anime. You know I didn't make it up, because if I wrote that, I would have said dick. This yokai is Turbo Granny. Imagine if your grandmother's grandmother did CrossFit in hell, gained supernatural powers, and decided that she was going to steal your family jewels and scepter. That's Turbo Granny in a nutshell. Ayase is trying to stop Okarun from running away, but obviously it's no avail. He's not listening to her anymore, and to be fair, she has her own problems to deal with as aliens in poorly designed Japanese businessman costumes grab her up, rip her clothes off, and abduct her. As you can see, we are already off to an amazing start. Now, this alien species has a pretty major problem. They're all male and rely on cloning to reproduce. No evolution, no genetic diversity, just copying the same DNA over and over. Ayase is the solution to their species' survival. They just need to do some good old-fashioned horizontal tango. However, their piping equipment looks a lot more like a next generation satellite than something that should be, put inside of a person. Plus, they want to extract Ayase's banana organ for further research afterwards. Now, obviously, I'm making jokes here. This scene could probably upset somebody for sure, but this is also what aliens really do. Regardless, if you can make it through that part, it is totally worth it. These aliens are preparing to do some high-tech no-no and are trying to use psychokinesis to get Ayase in the mood. And when an anime starts like this, you are in for something absolutely wild. But just when things look their darkest, something incredible happens. Ayase's mind returns to those protection rituals she knew, to her grandmother's teachings, to the very things she was once bullied for. She has a Jimmy Neutron brain blast. The alien psychokinesis may have opened up her chakra, and instead of becoming their test subject, Ayase gains psychic powers. Meanwhile, the hapless okarun has his own problems. After trying to run from Turbo Granny, he ends up getting cursed by her spirit, which transforms him into Turbo Granny herself, which I guess is kind of a different version of an alien probe. He's able to somehow traverse through their phones to Ayase, and Turbo Okarun Granny starts gobbling any and all weenies in the vicinity, aka the alien ones, absolutely demolishing them in the process. And this is when I knew this was going to be my favorite anime of the year. So Ayase's new psychic powers can apparently keep Okarun's curse at bay, meaning he can use Turbo Granny's powers without her taking over completely. Though he is unfortunately still short a banana organ and a couple of oranges too. And let me remind you, this is still episode 1, and to put it very, very lightly, shenanigans continue to ensue. All of this launches Ayase and Okarun into a season-long quest to save this boy's manhood. Because part of this video is for people who have not yet begun to experience DanDaDan, and the other half is for people who have watched it and want content. I'm not going to spoil the rest of the series, but here's a guarantee. Every episode is going to make you laugh, and there's some that might make you cry. DanDaDan has this bizarre alchemy of mixing incredibly emotional storytelling and character development with dick jokes. The closest thing I can compare it to would be Re:Zero, where Subaru has this humorous side and can give you a laugh right until it takes a sharp turn into the worst death you've ever seen. That whiplash effect of two things that shouldn't mix, but somehow it just works, is perfectly executed in DanDaDan. And underneath all the supernatural chaos and body horror, which there is body horror and I love it, the series is telling one of the most authentic stories about two people gradually falling for each other that you'll find in any anime. Okarun spent his entire life being the weird kid, the outcast, the guy nobody wants to talk to, and then suddenly there's this strong-willed, badass girl who not only stands up for him, but actually wants to hear what he has to say too. Later on, she's waiting to walk to school with him, wants to eat lunch with him. She's the friend he's been searching for his entire life. Even when they're arguing about aliens versus ghosts, it's the longest conversation he's ever had with someone his age. He's so down on himself that he can't imagine anyone else would even consider talking to him unless they were interested in the magazine he was reading. His opinion of himself is so low that he actively pushes people away, assuming that's what they want. Ayase cuts through that shit and sees right past it. And of course, through the laws of propinquity and being a, young, horny teenage boy, he's obviously going to start falling for her. She's literally the only person that ever made him feel like he matters. And because of that, it's not just going to be some surface level crush. After getting his powers and losing some more important bits to Turbo Granny, Okarun starts working out, trying to get stronger, not for himself, but because he wants to be able to protect Ayase, who may or may not need it. This kid who spent his whole life thinking he was worthless suddenly has someone he wants to be better for. Meanwhile, Ayase's own walls start coming down. Sure, she's confident and can kick ass 6 ways to Sunday, but that tough exterior was built from years of bullying and ridicule. Even her childhood crush Gigi joined others in mocking her daily protection rituals, leaving emotional scars that ran deep. She even started resenting her grandmother for making her perform these rituals, until she realized what really hurt wasn't the rituals themselves, but seeing her grandmother disrespected. That resentment transformed into understanding, then pride in her grandma and her spiritual heritage. Her dating history tells its own story. story. Her ex-boyfriend only made the cut because he looked like Ken Takakura, the actor she's been obsessed with forever. And yeah, that's where Okarun's nickname comes from, because he shares the same name as that movie star crush and she hates it. But now here's this awkward guy, right, who looks at her like she's the most amazing person he's ever met, who generally wants to protect her even though she's clearly the stronger one. He's nothing like the guys or anybody who's hurt her before. He accepts both her strength and her spiritual side without question, or at least without question after he gets cursed. And what makes the relationship feel so real is how it develops through, to put it bluntly, a fuckload of shared trauma. When you've been stripped down to your underwear by aliens or had your manhood stolen by a paranormal grandmother, there's not really anyone else you can talk to about it. They're the only ones who understand what the other is going through, who knows what it's like to have your entire world turned upside down Fresh Prince style, except in the most traumatic way possible. Every fight, every near-death experience, every bizarre encounter, they're processing all of it together. They're finding in each other exactly what they've been missing. Okarun's got someone who actually wants him around, who seeks out his company and values his presence, and Ayase, she's got someone who sees past her tough facade, who supports her not because she's strong, but because he genuinely cares about her well-being. Through all the supernatural insanity, they've become each other's anchor to normalcy. That's called juxtaposition. And it's all despite their new normal involving fighting yokai and aliens on a regular basis. It's an impressive level of emotion for a show where the quest is get the dude's dong back, and to get it back while dealing with yokai and aliens. And of course, let's not forget Ayase's grandmother, who's become a fan favorite for a good reason. She's a badass who takes no shit from nobody, human or supernatural entity. There's a reason the entire internet is simping on this lady, and you should watch the show just for her alone. Her character not only helps progress the story, but shows where a lot of Ayase's character traits came from. It gives DanDaDan's characters a unique sense of realism. I can't think of two anime characters that act more related than these two. But the series isn't just exceptional from an emotional or story standpoint, or even the comedy standpoint. The animation is amazing. If you've seen Devilman Crybaby, you know Science Saru doesn't just animate action, they make it feel like pure chaos barely contained within your screen. Remember that famous rave scene? That same energy is all over DanDaDan, especially in the fight scenes. The show takes full advantage of its supernatural premise to go completely off the rails with its animation. The color palette deserves special mention too. These fight scenes explode with color, supernatural encounters feel trippy and disorienting. They're often dominated by a single color, which helps the accent colors highlight exactly what you should be looking at specifically. Essentially, everything in DanDaDan comes together perfectly. The wild animation, the expanding supernatural world, the crazy premise, and these characters you grow to love. It's a beautiful and emotion-provoking story that starts with saving this poor kid's dick and balls, but evolves into something much more profound. It could have just been a wild supernatural action show with great animation, and that would have been enough for most people, but instead, it gives us this groundbreaking female protagonist wrapped in layers of absolute bonkers supernatural chaos. It's a show that can make you sob uncontrollably one minute, then have you laughing out loud at the most ridiculous supernatural dick joke the next. So yeah, DanDaDan is weird. It's the kind of show that makes you question exactly what you're watching half the time, but that's exactly why it works. It sticks with people, it keeps them excited about it. Because underneath all the insanity, all the supernatural battles and psychedelic animation, it's telling one of the most genuine stories about connection, growth, and accepting yourself. It's pushing boundaries of shonen and animation. And honestly, it is truly something special. And now I can't shut up about it either. Thanks everybody so much for watching. Thank you for Fabletics for sponsoring us. Guys, we put out 4 videos that most of you probably haven't seen. 2 in October, 2 last month. The ones that we put out in October are really good. 1,000 Ways to Die in Anime, and we did a little spotlight on horror anime that I liked a lot. YouTube not so much, might have been a little bit too graphic for them. We were finally able to put together both parts of our Gundam Iron-Blooded Orphans video, so that complete video is out too. And we also put out a little update video that was pretty important on a side channel. The link to that will be in the description as well. Thanks to our patrons for keeping us alive, and thanks again to you. Subscribe. See you next time.